This is my friend James, and today he has asked us to help him tell the story of the hardest woodworking project he has ever undertaken. He's from the other side of the world, in a little place they call the Down Under, where the sun always seems to shine. Sounds like a great place. By most people's standards, James has been very blessed. He comes from a loving family, has a wonderful wife, and works in his dream career, which also gives him enough time off to pursue his hobbies.
For this hobby time, James likes to make things from wood, especially wood that he can get for free on the side of the road. He also loves to film his woodworking and share those builds with the community on the internet.
Occasionally, he makes things for other people, but mostly he finds joy in building his scrapwood workshop and making things for his lovely wife and home, which is where this tale begins. James's wife wanted some simple wooden hooks to hang up her yoga mat and asked him if he wanted to make them for her. That's it, James? 2 little pallet wood hooks? I mean, how hard can that be?
Now, on top of his hobby, James has a full-time job that sounds cool, but it also comes with some unique challenges. James is a forensic scientist, but he assures me that it is a lot less sunglasses and CSI, and a lot more dealing with stuff that would probably give normal folks nightmares. However, his workplace is very supportive and encourages him to have hobbies and pursuits outside of the office that let him manage his mental health.
Which is why he started making things in the first place. Having a place like a workshop or a studio is a great way to unwind and decompress after the stresses of a long day of work. Another great way to unwind is escapism, and being a massive geek his whole life, you probably wouldn't be surprised to hear that James was into computer games and other tabletop RPG games like D&D with his friends. And even better, combining woodworking with D&D for some double hobby indulgence.
It is safe to say he really makes the most of his downtime.
Oh, did we also mention that James's channel is called Fixit Fingers because he has a side hustle as being the manager of his building complex, taking care of the gardens and the lawns and doing the handyman work around the building. To his friends and his family and those around him means he's to have limitless energy and he can still find time to help out his friends. Or he has a hard time saying no.
Now, recently, Fixit Finger became Daddy Finger with the birth of his daughter, and there was much more joy added to his life. Walks in the park with his baby became his favorite time of the day, and he loves being a dad. But working 12-hour night shifts isn't particularly conducive to being helpful with one's wife in the raising of a child. Luckily, I had introduced him to the concept of naptime woodworking, and with the arrival of his daughter, he realized he had a whole bunch of new content that he could make. Shot, edited, put together, smashed out in convenient, bite-sized 3-hour chunks. Wait, James, that's not what I meant.
That'll do.
You see, James was a bit older than average for a first dad, and he was quite set in his ways. How he scheduled his time, his job, commitments, and his feelings of responsibility towards his family to continue to provide both his regular income and maintain his side hustles was strong. Some would say stubbornly so.
But that's what being a man is all about. You tough it out, you soldier on, and get the job done. You man up and don't let your family down. Wait a minute. No, James. That is not what being a strong man is all about.
And so, for the next few months after the birth of his daughter, James pushed on. He kept going to work and doing his night shifts, he kept mowing the lawns, he took care of his workshop, and he still made time to take his little daughter to the park so he could watch her grow.
In fact, he was so focused on watching her get bigger that he didn't notice that he himself was wearing away.
Work became harder, the shifts became longer. The trauma he witnessed every day that had never bothered him before started to follow him home.
He stopped playing the video games he loved and found excuses to start skipping D&D sessions with his friends.
He lost all motivation to build anything that was not using his limited workshop time in the most productive way possible.
At family mealtimes when he was home, and even when he was playing with his daughter, he felt distant and distracted.
That constant productivity that he once enjoyed, making, filming, editing YouTube videos, now felt toxic. Sleep, which he usually found easy being a shift worker, now eluded him. He blamed the baby, he pushed on.
I got nightmares in my head, I fear that the thoughts build up until I can't hear, that my mind fills up into a creature, and it haunts me somewhere much deeper.
Until one day when she was just 3 months old, it all came crashing down. That night before dinner while playing with his little girl, he collapsed, physically, mentally, and emotionally.
I got nightmares in my head, I fear.
It was not until this point, after I hit rock bottom, that I knew anything was seriously amiss. At the time, I didn't know what was wrong with me, blinded by my unshakable belief that I was a positive, capable person, a good father, a dependable worker, and a good friend. But I was very lucky that I had this supportive network of people around me, and I knew how to find out what I needed to do next.
It's time to be a man, James. A real one.
Step up and ask for help. If the wood is rotten and you're all out of glue, there's no point applying more pressure to the clamps.
The first person to pick him up, both literally and physically, was his wife. She calmed him and dragged him out of a dark space, so he was able to call his office and arrange an emergency meeting with a psychologist.
The next was his boss, who literally drove over in the middle of the night after chatting with his wife to make sure that he was okay and offer the special support that his workplace could bring.
The psychologist was then able to spend some time with James and help him unpack the last couple months' experiences and to come up with and help him understand what he'd been going through. It turns out James had PNDA, or postnatal depression and anxiety, which is an acute mental health condition that's mostly associated with mothers, but it also affects about 1 in 10 fathers, and that's just those who report it.
And let's face it, fellas, when it comes to talking about our feelings and mental health,
We've got a lot better at it, but there's still a long way to go.
My head doctor was able to highlight all of the warning signs and red flags that I'd missed, the things that my friends here have been kind enough to help me point out. These should have clicked inside me that something wasn't quite right. My hyper-focus on being the best dad and husband I could be, but then also refusing to look after myself and maintaining the self-imposed, crazy pre-dad workload that I'd placed on my own shoulders, literally led me to a breakdown.
Now, Jimmy was very lucky that his workplace has got excellent mental health services. Not only did they organise emergency counselling for him, but they also set him up with ongoing support with a mental health professional for the next couple of months.
But not everyone who needs a hand will be as fortunate. So there are some links below, especially targeted for new dads, but also for men
and women of all walks of life who might need someone to talk to or help with their own challenges.
There was also one more thing that James had that cost nothing. Was full of support, understanding, and all of the good stuff that helps you feel good on the inside. He had people close to him to talk to.
Family, friends, colleagues.
And all of us. What his professional help did was give him the tools to progress towards recovery, as well as manage potential future triggers. What his friends did best, both online and in real life, was help him to realize that it is okay to not be okay.
sniff this little cutie bum bum. Oh, Daddy, are you sad? Oh, oh, hello.
No, but changing a nappy is now going onto the internet.
Oh, we invite you to sniff this.
Hashtag dadlife. You know what? I might even leave this in.
Oh, wifey did not give consent.
And that'll be on the internet too.
Oh, no one doesn't give consent. Where's your mama? Where's your mama?
I'll have to tick the box that says babies appear in this video. And this is what makes it worth it.
Oh, oh, burp, burp. Oh, Daddy. Oh, what's wrong, Daddy? Okay, but I'm going to attempt to change this bubble.
5 seconds.
To explore the Daddy's wardrobe.
That was not scripted. All planned. Dad life. Let's take 2. Have the conversation.
That conversation might save a life. If not yours, then someone else's. Drop the bull. We're not bulletproof. Shit happens, and we can't deal with it alone. And you don't have to. Reach out, start a conversation. Be the best move you make. Trust me.
In not too much time, his daughter was 6 months old and James was back to mowing the lawn. When they needed it, not every time, they were no longer perfect.
He started up his D&D games again, but once a month instead of once a week.
He asked work to limit the amount of night shifts he did, and they said, no problemo.
He did finally finish those Pilates hooks for his friend and decided, you know what, no more commissions for a while, just joining pieces of wood to other pieces of wood for his own enjoyment.
Because the workshop is your happy place, something that should reduce stress in your life, not contribute to it. Let's keep it that way.
And he came to realize that he didn't have to be everything to everyone all the time. The next YouTube video can't wait. That pallet wood hobby project is not going anywhere, and most of those little jobs he thought were so important to keep on top of do not actually have a deadline. But most importantly, he learned that by admitting he needed help and sharing his struggles with those close to him, he started on the path to move through his depression and focus on what really matters right here, right now. Walks in the park with his wife and daughter. We're so proud of you, James.